Yeah, hi friends. Today I am here to discuss about the JUnit. One of my few members asked to do the JUnit video. So today I am here to discuss about the JUnit. Before going to that, what is meant by JUnit? Why we require it, and what is the purpose of it? Okay. First, what is meant by JUnit? JUnit is nothing but Java plus some unit of work. There is no separate abbreviation for it. J is nothing but Java plus unit is JUnit. Main for this is it is as depending upon the one of the unit of the work. That's why we came into unit. J unit is nothing but Java unit, and it is an open source. To freely we can utilize that. The main purpose of this JUnit is to code coverage, where we effectively need to have the code coverage, where we need to cover the entire line to line coverage. That how we will cover in the code level and how we utilize this JUnit, and everything we will see in practically in one by one. First, in this, before going to having, we need to have the some test analysis, how to write it, and what are the advantages of having it, and everything. First is nothing but test suites, where we need to have the bulk of the test cases as one of the. For example, I have the login functionality, and I can have the login functionality as one of the test suite, and everything end to end I can write it in the test suite, and in particular login functionality where I have for login functionality I may have the controllers, services, and also some of the URLs if you have the any database levels. All those things I can have it one of the suite, and I can utilize wherever required in the project. If the login functionality is similar to different projects, I can utilize this as test suite. This is the main purpose of having uh, test suite to implement in the JUnit, and we can have it also test the some of the sample codes to get working at the first place, and which is also we know different types of testing, which is it covers the ad hoc testing, where the occurs any movement of the, for example, I have the one of the change in that, one of the change I want to do in the one of the functionality, and suddenly I need to have to test the entire if it may affect to the other functionality which is having the existing functionality. In that cases I can have this test suite which is called ad hocly I can test only that particular uh, testing functionality where I require, so that it easily test and I can push on into the particular functionality using this test tools. This is the main advantages. Lot of the extra programming also reduces. That is the um, disadvantage, where if you write the test tool, that means nothing but whatever I have the uh, Java code among on top of it I need to have the lot of extra programming, which is also very true to have the test framework in separately. But it is the, when compared with the disadvantages, we have the more advantages. Even many fear bugs I can be identified easily by having the test suite to the particular functionality. And when compared with the advantage and disadvantage, having the test suite is we have more advantage. That is the thing. Next, next is the example I am showing, where the old way of having the test and new way after coming to with the JUnit, how you are utilizing. In olden way also we used to have in the old Java course before coming of the JUnit. We used to write it by class, by reading the class and logically everything we used to write it. But after coming to the JUnit, we have the some of the few annotations where at the rate test to specify that it is a test case. And some of the packages also have been came with the JUnit. This is the main advantage before JUnit and after JUnit. Whatever we have the logically, and we easily utilize the some of the annotations. We will see it in the next slides. And also, if you see XP approach to the testing, where it extremely programming approach by writing the bulk of the code. I have shown you previously some of the codes. It easily time taking, and also to identify the one of the bug. Even if you are whatever written in logic, also it may have the bug. Okay, it may be some of the extra approach which for the testing. But when came into the JUnit, it is very easy approach. It is easily identifying, and during the even in the deployment process continuity integration also you can include these JUnit test coverage. It is very easy. Now coming to what are the advantages why we came to JUnit and everything we have been seeing up to now. Now, what is JUnit framework for writing the test case? JUnit first was written by each ground of design, one of the design pattern framework he had the approach, and also one of the supportive with the XP methodology also creation also included by one of the Kinberg. And JUnit uses the Java reflection capabilities where the Java programming can examine their own coding levels, and also JUnit helps for the programming like defining and executing the test cases and executing the test suites wherever we require, and formalizing the requirements, and also for the clarity of architecture and writing and debugging of the codes, and also integrating the code and always be ready to release a work of the versions also happening. For example, if you see the JUnit 4 after the JUnit 5 came, and everywhere versioning mechanisms were integrating the codes to improvise the where the coverage and testing coverages have been done. And JUnit is not included in the Sun's JDK, but almost all the IDs included it. If you see Eclipse or IntelliJ, wherever you go, JUnit has been included, but not in the one of the Sun's SDK. Just show where is exactly utilizing. I added this point. And what are the terminologies involved in the JUnit? First, we need to understand the terminologies wherever you go. If you go JUnit test is a test of the single class, and a test cases test response of a single method for a particular set of the inputs. It depends on the what type of the test cases it depends on. We usually have the set of the inputs. And obviously, initially, I have discussed about the test suite is a collection of test cases where the group of test cases we have the test suite. And also a test runner is a software where runs the test and reports, or we can visualize in the all the results of the test cases. And an integration test is also a test of how well the classes work together. And JUnit provides some of the limited support for the integration of the tests. All those things have been included. And apart from that, some of the also we have the terminologies where if you want to write it, the JUnit particularly, I, if I would like to know the what type of the test it is, I need to have the annotations of the red test so that I can identify that particular test where it is JUnit or not. And also like frameworks, whatever we discussed in the previous slides, where we follow the some of the framework mechanisms to write the JUnits. One more to show how the test run happening. This is one of the picture I with picturize I am showing that. And we have the text fixture where we need to implement, and after that it is a unit test where for one of the class, if I want to implement, for example I want to implement the login functionality, and login controller is the one of the class I would like to have the one of the text feature, which is included all the services and also DODs and all those are included. And for that, if that is the one of the class that is called the unit test, where I would like to write it. And test case is for a method where in the test class you will write the one of the methods will call as a test case. For example, if login functionality is one of the class, and in the login functionality class, I would like to have the login success case, login failure case, and also login with the username as a valid username, and login username as a invalid, login password as valid, password as invalid. All those under comes on the test cases as the one of the method I can include it in the one for the particular class. And the test case, whatever I told, all the combinations of the tests we would like to have. And another test unit, whatever we have, for example, same in the login functionality, I have the one of the for one of the another unit of the classes, I can have the whatever the class implemented for login function, all methods I can have the suit and I can write it in them. Those all are called as the test cases. Another unit of test cases we can keep on add it, and all those particular class where I told you right, login functionality is one of the class, and it has the controller and also it has the services. Okay, and it also have the some of the regulates. I conclude the test suite as one of the all the controllers as the one of the packages, and in that test suite I can have the all the login functionalities, where login functionality or registration page or all those classes I can include in that particular test suite. And that suite contains another unit of class, and the class contains another unit of methods, and that method contains whatever the case I want to test it. Nothing but test suite under this unit test, under this test case inside that we have the all the whatever the cases I want to test it. Okay, on top of the test shoot, right, I can have a one of the test runners in each test classes where I need to have it. I can have it Spring. If you are using the Spring Boot or Spring anywhere, you can use it Spring Runner. If you are using the Mockito, some of the where you can use the Mockito as a test runner. And if you are purely writing with the JUnit, you can have it as a JUnit. Whatever the at the annotations we pull it, it will automatically take by default with the test JUnit test runners. A unit test which method in a single class. Already we discussed, and a test case is a single method, whatever we discussed previously, and we can have the multiple test cases for a single method. For single method, we can also have the multiple test cases. How the test case you identify is whatever the assets equal to or assets whatever you validating those values is nothing but a test cases. In that particular single method, we can have the multiple test cases. Okay, a test suite is nothing but a whatever I told the combination of the unit test cases. For example, I have the 20 methods in that I can have the 40 test cases. In that we validate the each one of them, and under this which is called the combination of those all test cases is called a test suite. Okay, and text mixture nothing but fixture is providing the software support for all this. Nothing but whatever the code coverage we will see all these things. Test understands the unit entire suite of the test cases we know. And Integration testing is nothing but all the combination, all the work together is not well supported by JUnit, some of the JUnits, but we will have the alternative process to support this. I'm sorry, my hand pulled it and I'm back. Okay, where we stop, declaring your test case, usually we follow whatever the normal class we will declare, and declaring the instance of the class being used, and we cannot declare the other variables, we don't even given themselves initial values. So this is the one of the public class, and how we will declare that you can where the test case we can utilize. Okay, and defining the method, how you define a method or a several methods to execute before the test case. This is the one of the wonderful thing where in the JUnit. If you are want to execute before running into the test case, I want to have the some of the predefined values or one of the default values. And before executing the test case, I can have it in the rate before annotation. I can utilize it, and in this setup method, I can declare all the method. For example, if you see here example, we created the object with for the program class, because before running into the test case I need to visualize that object and all the properties acquired from that object I need to be have it. So that is the reason why we declared program equal to new program in before running of the test case. I'm getting that object all the declarations so that I can utilize in the test. Okay, similarly, the variable, some variable, I want to have the some thousand, one of the variable where thousand is the value. It should be before running of all the test cases, the value should be present in that particular variable. So I declare that variable in that particular at the rate before method, and I set up also at the running of the test cases, right? Only before it will get it all the values and it ready for the test case. Okay, before running the test case only, all will be executed and get those values, default values. Okay, we can define one or more test execute after having the one of the test. Typically, such methods resolve the resources such as some of the files. We have usually there is no need to bother about with this whatever the type of the method, but what is the test case we want to implement to readable and understandable manner, you can declare that particular method name. Okay, after running of the my test cases, right, I need to have the tear down. For example, if I am writing the test case for the file reading, okay, I should be open the file before the test case, and after reading all the data from the file, I just validated and everything is fine. I want to close that particular Excel file. In that case, I can close it by that particular Excel where I have been open for my test case validation. I can close it at the rate after executing of the my validation of the test case. I can close it in the at the rate after public void tear down method, and I can close that Excel. Okay, this is the best example where we can how can you learn the best usage of at the rate before and at the rate after annotation methods were in the JUnit. Okay, and here is the very simple example. Suppose we have a one of the class as a arithmetic with methods int. How you will declare that? That means that the sample code we are showing that int multiple sum int x y z, and the boolean if it is positive or not we are just returning. For that we are writing the JUnit test case. Okay, as usual, we follow the few steps, right? Like package declaration, class declaration, method, or some variables at the rate before test if you want any values, or after the test cases if I want to run, I can have it at the rate after annotation methods and everything. But here I not required any those of I directly have the test cases, and this is the one of the test suite where I can have the one of the test cases. Okay, arithmetic test, inside that I can have at the rate test public void, and what my intention is, I need to have the multiple of 2 into 2 should be 4, that I am validating here set equals to whatever the logic I have in the multiply method. In that I am providing the two values, and that I am validating the result of those by using the set equals to. Okay, similarly, and if you see the method name also I given is test multiply. Okay, the and also we need to follow the camel cases in this case to have any Java, right? Similar way we are following test multiply. Okay, test is positive. Is that just we can have it in any way, but better understanding way we can return in this way. Okay, next in this also we are testing that uh, whatever having the is previously I talking, right, I want to directly test the boolean values. I can use it as a true, as a false. For example, if you see here, where and when I can use the asset true and asset false. Asset true, I can use the particular method which returns the true. If I want to validate, I can use the asset true. If I want to validate it should be false, I can use the asset false. For example, if you see here, arithmetic dot is positive, and I am giving that value is a positive, and it should be positive, and the whatever the returning should be positive, so I am using the asset true, because my test case is and my scenario should be the positive. Is positive is a method where my scenario need to take the value is positive or not. Okay, next scenario or next test case, what is I required is it should be negative, it should be false. That means each positive method should return the false if it is negative value. That's why I use the asset false here. Hope you understand where to use the asset true and where to use the asset false. For example, if you see below, we have used the arithmetic dot is positive equal to 0. Is 0 is positive or negative? 0 is a neutral, either not positive, but it is the method wise we are taking it as a negative. But what the method should return to me is the negative value. That's why I use the asset false to get the is positive method should return the negative. That is the two different scenarios where we use the asset equals to asset true and asset false. Next, so we are moving to the asset methods where some of the asset methods where we can use within the test. Some of the few points, bullet points I'm discussing here. Calling a method being tested and get actual result. Actual result, whatever we want in this particular test cases, we need to validate that. Okay, assets or what the correct result should be one of the asset method. Okay, nothing but for example, if asset true should return only the true value. Asset false should return the false value. And an asset method in a JUnit method that performs a test and throws the, for example, if I have the one of the catch and try broke and any exception I am throwing, I can use the asset errors, some of the errors we have. We can easily capture those and we can validate those. I'm going with the another example which is having the counter class. For the sake of example, I am just creating a test array of counter class, and the constructor will be created in the counter and is set it to the 0, and the incremental method will be added in one of the counter and returning to the new value. And also decremental method will subtract one of the method from the particular counter class and return the new value. And this is the example where I taken in the counter class. And if you want to write it the test methods for the before writing the particular code, this has the advantage of describing early. However, we usually write this method stuff first and let the ID generated the test method stubs easily. So we need not to wait until the coding completed. Along with the coding completion, we can write it with particular methods. Okay. Simple example for the JUnit. We can have the more examples to understand particular class how we will return and how we will write the test the cases inside that, and we can have it more examples, then we will understand how we will write the particular JUnit test case. And this is the whatever we discussed, right? If you observe, JUnit is the one of the counter class where the whatever we told, I just declared the class in the JUnit test, and before the test I just initialize the counter class to get all the bean values, and whatever we if we have any objects I want to get it from the particular counter class. And as usual we have the other test annotation to have them as a true. Here I am using to have the whether the counter increment value is 1 or counter increment value is 2, both we are noting here begin to the brand new counter of this test cases. And the decremental cases whatever we told, right, decrementing of one of the value where that matter using the asset true, I am just validating the particular test case by writing this test case with the counter class. This is the one of the example for the counter class. Next, in the counter class itself, if we have the class design is like this, whatever we written previously in the JUnit, and to get the count of that class also we have added the one of the method where often XP programming don't bother about the writing of the test for simple getter method such as the get counter whatever we written in this class. Okay. We only use the asset true in this example, but there is an additional asset methods where we can use it. We will see in the next slide. Okay, and these are the equals to method where we compare the primitive methods. Same like Java has the one of the method x dot equals to y and comparing the objects and the method which works for the strings and few other Java classes also. For objects of the classes we can also use the equals to method to equalize. Similarly, asset equals to also uses the x whatever we have the expected method and actual. Okay, and also we have two types of ways where double equals to or equals to method string methods. Similar way it will be utilized inside that asset equals to method. Based on the value it will be automatically defined, and it will take, if it is an object it will use the equals to method. If it is the normal string value it internally uses with the acquire that particular method and compare that. We will talk more later about the how the equals to method works, and this how to show where the asset equals to method has been working and how it is utilized in our journey. And these are the some of the asset methods. Level 2 I have been taken, like asset equals to, we can have the string message expected and actual also we can use it. And these are the two types of ways of validating our test cases using the asset equals to. One is just giving the expected value and actual value, and another way is we can provide the one of the string messages to showcase and uh, and validating the expected and actual value both the objects as the primitive types. And for example, if you are using the equals to method, if we can have defined a property as description of the previous slide, you will similar way we are using here. Okay, asset same is also one of the asset if you want to validate particular similar way which is used two arguments according to the same objects or not. We are just validating using the asset same asset not same will have. It is quite opposite to the asset same where we comparison. If those no those two objects are not same, we are just validating by having the different way of approach. And both the objects are do not referring to the same object, it will be written to. Next asset methods, I stated the all the asset methods in the third type where asset null is used to check whether the object we are getting is null or not. And also if we are want to describe the object is defined with particular message, we can have the asset null with the message and also with the object. Similar way, we also have the asset not equal to, which is quite opposite to the asset null, where we compare the both the objects object is null or not. If it is not null, we will return true. Same asset that object is null or not, we are checking. If it is null, we are returning true. If it is not null, in the asset not null case, it will be written to. Next, we also have the fail object. Fail is the one of the asset failure. If we have any errors, we can use the failure is the one of the method. In this also similar way, we can with particular message I can show that it is fail. Similar way, we can useful to result have the complex test, whatever the other asset methods are quite, if you want to know, we'll go with that. Writing the JUnit test cases in the different way, third level, where this page is really showing how to expensively set up your particular test cases, such as when you need to connect to the database to your test cases. Okay, for example, if I want to connect to one of the database, I can have it whatever the database connections initially to connect with the username, password, all those things I can set up in the before class, and after class. If I want to get close that particular database connections, I can use after class particular database, whatever the class I'm validating with the database level. I can use this before class and after class. And some of the special features we know in the JUnit we have the test annotation. This is the one of the special feature having the JUnit test where you can limit how long the method is allowed to take the test, and this is also a good protection against the infinite loops. And this time limit is also specified in the milliseconds, and the test fails if the method is takes the too long. These are all the special features having the test annotation. We can also override the particular default value in the milliseconds. If I want to just limit the test case with the 20 seconds, I can have the test timeout equal to 20 seconds. If I want, because some of the cases, right, I need to connect to the database, I need to get the data, and I need to write the into the file, and from the file I need to read it, and again with the whatever the value I have in the file, I need to connect it to the database, and I want to get the data from the database directly, and I need to compare that the file data whatever I have and the database, from the database both are matching or not. I need to identify that. In that cases it may takes some time. Even I need to have the 5 seconds. I need to make it, need to wait until the get data validated. In that case I can have it at the test, and I can specify the timeout as more than 5 seconds. I can specify here within the milliseconds. Okay, and some of the methods I also needed to handle the exception. For example, um, if I want to expect it that if any value from the database is getting null, and I am throwing the null pointer exception, in that case, if the data is available, I am not throwing the exception. I need to test this scenario. For that, the expected is if the database does not having the data, null pointer should throw. This is the expected behavior. For that, I want to test it in the test case, and I just mark that particular database call, and I will return the null value, and I will get the null pointer exception where that null pointer exception is expected. So I can write it in the test with the expected equal to null pointer exception dot class, and in that particular public void factory method it easily returns that particular null pointer exception, and it will show it is the expected exception. Similar way, whatever I shown in the slide is, it is illegal argument exception. Okay, dot class, where the factoring method, where we have the -5, which is illegal, because for calculating the factorial method, we all should know that the positive value should be there, or within the bound of the factoring method should be there. So in that case, the illegal argument exception will be thrown, and whatever it is expected, I am just making other test expected equal to illegal argument of class. This covers my negative test cases. Okay, for negative test cases we used to have utilize this uh, type of test. Okay, we all know up to now we have learned so many things, and I hope you understood what are the point. And we all also know that time driven development TDD, hope everyone before coming to the JUnit, we need to have understanding. If you are a QA engineer, you know what is TDD and time driven development, where this is the type of where we utilize it. If you are a developer, if you are writing the JUnit also, same way you should know what is time, what is the text driven development, and it is very difficult to add the JUnit to the existing program, and the program probably wasn't written with the testing in the mind. What it says is, if already existing code which is not written in the JUnit and we are planning to write it in the JUnit, it will be very difficult. But time, whatever we have test driven development, right, it is actually better to write the test before writing the code you want to test it. This seems that backward, but it is really does works better when the tests are written first. You have a clear idea what to do when you write the methods, because the test returns first, the methods are necessary written to be testable. For example, writing the first encourages your writer is simplest and also a single purpose methods, because these methods will be called for one from more than one environment, which is a real case, and also tends to more independent of the environment specific. What it seems means basically if you want to write it any logic code, if we have the better idea of what are the test cases to have the implementation for particular implementation, it is very easy to write the code directly before you have the test plan. Okay, that is the main motto of test driven development. Whatever we need to have the straightforwardly, if you want to tell it in one word, plan before is good to any terminology or any technology. This is how test driven development is saying. Plan before writing the code. You should have the better idea what are the tests before writing the code. And this is the steps where in order to run the test, the method we are testing have to be adjust, but they don't have to be right. Instead of starting with the real code, we just start with the stubs minimal methods that always returns the same value. A stub that returns a void can be returned with an empty body. Okay. And also a stub returns with the numbers of 0 or 1 or some triple six, and whatever the number is mostly like to be wrong. And also a stub that returns the boolean value should be actually return the false. And also a stub that returns an object for an kind including the string array should return the null value. When we run our test methods with these stubs, we want the test methods to fail. Okay, this helps the test on the test and to help make sure that incorrect method doesn't happen while writing your JUnit test cases. Okay, basically, if you are practically observed, this is whatever we are telling is the theoretically, but if you are practically observed, if you return with the wrong value, for example, I am taking the stub one of the validation or marking with particular method. If you are wrongly marking it, it automatically whatever the coverage, whatever the test I want to test it in the code, it will be going on the loop, and also it will be stopping the straightforward whatever I want to test it. So what in real coding we should follow all the steps so that we can avoid the incorrect way of testing and wrong way of implementation for the particular code by using this stopping mechanism in the JUnit. Ignoring a test, this is the wonderful annotation where we can use just I want to ignore the particular thing in the code. I can use @ignore annotation where I don't want to drive to no doesn't works, because for example, if you see in the here example @ignore or @test and just adding 4, right? We shouldn't use @ignore without a very good reason. Okay, for example, if here I am using the one of the program to add the 4 numbers, here I nothing having, I need to ignore it. But some of the cases I observed where this @ignore will be helpful. One of the scenario where I need to have the application to validate a particular logic where the login is happening before that the database call is there, and I need to mark it using the marketo. I can do it. And one of the case where I should not hit to the database or I should not hit through the particular method where I don't want that logic need to be validated there, because unnecessarily I am validating also, unnecessary validating or unnecessary testing also causing the while running of the application takes some of the time. So in that case, if I want to ignore that particular case, I just need to write it at the rate ignore. I don't want to work this particular test case while moving to the production. Okay. For example, in production, I should not run that, but in QA, I can run it with the database call and everything. I just write it at the rate ignore, and I can ignore that particular run to say that run a test only, do not run that particular test. And we already discussed about the test suite. How can we define that particular suite of the test is at the rate run and value equal to the particular class name we will have. If any particular suite classes, if I want to include in particular classes, I can include here at the rate suite classes, and all the test is the one of the class. Okay, how to now we have learn some of the things of the JUnit and JUnit in the Eclipse. How you, if you want to have the method stubs first, and also Eclipse will be generated the particular test method stubs for you. And to add any of the JUnit 4 to your project, here is the example. Okay. Just you will go to the Eclipse, select, go to that file, new JUnit test cases. Just you need to just follow the steps, whatever I have mentioned here, and make sure that new JUnit test is selected and click where it says the click here to add particular JUnit and just close it that window and it will appear with the JUnit test cases. To create a JUnit test cases, we can also follow the same step 1 and step 2 above if you are already, and click on next, use the check process. Just this is a just to set up the JUnit in particular Eclipse. These are the step-by-step process where you need to follow to create the task to run the JUnit. You can choose the run as JUnit test cases. And to see the coverage also, we can have same coverage as you can run it same in the Eclipse. I have completed my test cases. I have written all my test cases, and also I have set up in the Eclipse everything. I have run the test cases, and now I want to view the particular results of the test cases in the Eclipse. How will you do that thing? We will see in this slide. Just after running the test cases, you will observe the in the Eclipse. If you after running this JUnit, you will see here how many test cases are passed and how many test cases are failed. We can see here, and directly you can go to the particular test cases and double click on it, and you will see particular test cases where it is failed, and line by line you can see it. And if you see here, I have run 10 of the 10 test cases. How many test cases you have run and how many are error, how many are failures, you can see here. Something unexpected happens in the two test cases, if you see here. And also the bar is green if all the test cases or pass, and red otherwise, because here two test cases are failed, so the bar shown here is the red, and the test cases which are passed is in green color. If you see here, all the test cases except last but one is failed, those two are in red color and remaining are in green color. And something went wrong, which is showing here, and this is the failure where we can see it. And this is how long the test took in the time while running the test cases. If you see, the failure cases has been happened from 0.025 seconds, and the execution taken 0.01 seconds, below one even it taken 0.000 seconds. it depends on the where the logic is we are validating. It depends on the execution time. So so that is the reason why in the previous slide have been explained the wrong way of implementation causing even the application going to the down cases also will be there if you are keep on looping the test cases with the multiple records if I are looping or any wrong way of stubbings also will cause to the fail even application will be down. So before writing the test cases you should be in conscious and you should be write the JUnit test case in correct way. Okay, depending on your preference in this window you might be slow only failure test cases here if you see. And what are the recommended approaches for writing this particular test cases? As we mentioned, writing a test case for some methods you intend to write, and if the method is a formally complex, test only with the simplest test cases. That's how we went for the one of the recommended approach where if we have the bulk of the logic if you want to validate we can do it. If we have the bulk of the complexity to call into the database or anything else you just fairly mark those particular tests and simply as simplified way of writing the test case is very important and also writing the stub for the method is also very important. If you are wrongly stopped it will be a causing even the memory leakage will also happen. I have observed in one of the scenario the memory leakage also because one of the colleague right he used to write the code and he used to return the one of the for loop with the one of the object creation where with the double for loops we have been used even three to four for loops we have been using for the logic. We can write it with the one for loop. He as per his knowledge he returned three to four for loops to write that particular logic which causing a and for that logic he also returned the same way of validation in the JUnit which is even memory leakage happen if the heap memory has go down uh, thus that level of approach also happens if you are not in the recommended approach. So writing a stub for a method is also very important and running the test and make sure its failure or success is also very important. Replacing the stub with the code, writing just enough code to pass this test is also very important and run the test case, debugging the methods, repeat it until the test passes. Same thing, if your method need to do more handling or more complex, just simplifying at least the logical level or keep going on following the some of the techniques recommended approaches is very important while writing the JUnit. And we are almost covered how about the JUnit coverage and JUnit test cases. In the next I will prepare another recording with the Mockito, which is very important and for the JUnit stuff. We'll come with another video with the Mockito JUnit with the examples of Spring Boot and with the older version of Spring and with Spring Boot. I will try to get it the video and hope up to now you have understand the JUnit, what is the purpose and how you utilize and everything stuff and this slide source about me. Hope if you are seeing this video miss almost you know me. Thank you. And this is the references I have been taken to prepare this PPT and thank you so much for providing the wonderful information to prepare this PPT. And at the end if you don't Unit test when you aren't a software engineer, you are a typist who understand a program language. Wonderful sentence about the JUnit he given, about the testing he given. Nice Moses Jones, and never underestimate the power of one little test. Okay, if you are writing any test, don't underestimate any of what is the power of the test. What will be happens is only just it is a JUnit and I would like to return. Don't think like that. Okay, don't underestimate the even single line of the test or even one little test. Okay, there is no such thing as a dumb test. Okay, some of the people's I have been observed, some of the colleagues has written just a equal to b they will return. Okay, just to get the coverage for the one of the j, just a equal to b. Equal to b in the sense they will write create the object, they will throw that object as it expected, and the object both the whatever he created he validating same object, he will return the dummy. But with that if it is not a even if it is static also is an extra memory for the heap, and also it will be memory decays, and even at the code level the dump whatever the dummy test will take the more time and more memory for running of the application. Your test can often finds a problem where you are not expected them. Me, whatever you have the test, it will finds a problem, but it not meets the expectation. Okay. For example, I have the one of the functionality where I need to identify the inactive store. Okay, I need to find it with the active what where is the storage inactive or not, but I should not do it where is the active stores are present, and I get it all active stores remaining all are inactive. So I will have the two calls, and this this clumsy, that is also one of the way of problem solving, but it is not an expected way of solving the problem. Okay, test that everything you say happens actually does happens. Whatever you written test, everything is happening, but what is the happening is not an actual, it will also same thing. For example, everything whatever the active previous example only I am taking, whatever the active stores I am bringing, and also whatever the inactive stores I am bringing, and the actual test case is to find the inactive, but I brought the all the active stores and also all the negative stores, and I am validating these two are not matching, so this store is inactive. So what is actually whatever the test everything I want is happening, but actually happening also happening, but which is not unnecessarily also happening. Okay, and this is our if it's worth documenting, it's worth testing. This statement also very nice. If you see that if you work for the documenting means whatever I am learning today, right? If I documented everything, I can easily learn it and I can utilize it in the whatever wherever I require. Similar way, if you want to write in any test, you should do the documentation whatever I need to write it in the test. It will be very easy to work and also to test it easy. I am not a comparative, or I am not that expert, whatever Andy Lister or Moses Jones. Just with my knowledge, I have added my point on the understanding the exact scenario is the key for JUnit. Okay, why I got and I have written this statement is because one of the even with my experience or one of the thing I have observed that even I only done it. Okay, I just misunderstand one of the scenario which causing very impact in writing the JUnit, and also I need to rewrite it the entire JUnit, and I spend for this for 3 to 4 hours to write it. which is unnecessary spending. Even within 1 hour it should be completed. I taken this to complete it for 3 to 4 hours. That's why understanding the exact scenario is the key for JUnit. Without understanding, if you return any JUnit, you should rewritten everything, because you will follow the unnecessary stubbing, and also you will return unnecessary logicking, everything. Without understanding the exact scenario, we can't write the JUnit, and even Java code also you can't write it. It is key for everything. So please understanding exact scenario where happening, so that you can easily write it the JUnit. Hope you guys are enjoy by seeing this video, and